Do you ever remember those school reports I used to get? Could do so much better. Average, try so hard. Well, that's my report on this Wesley hunt. That rhymes with Cupid stunt. Whereas Jared Moskowitz, who I think has kind of the same level of experience represented in Congress, there is somebody you know is not for the ego, has a great sense of humour, and make sure the subject being discussed, they stick to the subject. Not just trying to score points to, I don't know, get a soundbite on Fox, which is what this, what am I calling, Cupid stunt? No, his name's Wesley.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. By the way, how are you doing? Good? Okay. Mr. Bobulinski, over here, how are you doing? Good. So I just have a question. We've been at this for 15 months now in oversight. I know this is your first time here, but do you think Chairman Comer has proven that Joe Biden has committed a high crime and misdemeanor?
I believe with all the evidence he's gathered, yes, he's proven that Joe Biden has committed high crimes and misdemeanors.
Okay, and so I assume you believe Joe Biden should be impeached.
Well, that's up to you guys.
But do you believe he should be impeached? It's yes or no.
Do I personally believe
Yeah,
or
you.
under constitutional...
No. You personally, do you believe he should be impeached?
I do.
Okay, and you believe that because you believe Chairman Comer has proven that he committed a high crime and misdemeanor?
No, because I know that he committed high crimes and misdemeanors.
Okay.
I was involved and saw them happen.
Right, but obviously, with all the evidence, you must believe that all of these hearings for 15 months that the chairman has proven that, right?
You re-ask the question?
Sure. I'll sum it up. I assume you believe he should be impeached, but my point is that the chairman has not yet moved for that. And so, look, Chairman, we got like 3.5 minutes here. I mean, let's just do the impeachment. I mean, why continue to waste millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money if we're going to impeach because you believe you've shown he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor? What are you waiting on? Let's just do it. I mean, by the way, we got Chairman Jordan here also, the double chairman. Why aren't you guys calling for the vote in your committee? When is it going to happen? When can we tell the American people you're going to stop wasting their money and just call for the vote on impeachment?
Gentlemen, yield? Gentlemen, yield?
Sure.
We don't do snap impeachments like you guys. We actually do the facts. We do oversight according to the Constitution.
You're never going to call for it. You're never going to call for it. I mean,
now you can predict. You can predict the future. How do you know?
You guys only have 6 more months probably in power, right, until the election. So are you going to do it in 2 months? Are you going to do it in 3 months? Like, tell the American people.
Does the Constitution put a time limit on oversight? I didn't read that in the Constitution.
So if you believe you can't call for the impeachment now, then what you're admitting is you haven't yet proven that he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor. You haven't proven it yet. Otherwise, you would call for it, I assume.
We're doing our work.
Okay, so they haven't proven it. Right? They haven't proven he committed a high crime and misdemeanor. Otherwise, we would call for impeachment. So look, the chairman knows me well. I mean, I'm just here to help him, right? And so I just think we should do it today. Let's just call for it. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to help you out. You can second it, right? Like, make the motion to impeach President Biden. Go ahead. It's your turn. You second it. No, nothing. Okay, we got nothing. So I want to, with my last couple minutes, show the American people that they're never going to impeach Joe Biden. It's never going to happen because they don't have the evidence. Okay, this is a show. It's all fake. They just want to do these hearings. It's not leading to impeachment. They're lying to their base on Newsmax and Fox, leading these people to believe that they're going to eventually impeach the president. It's not going to happen at all, ever, period. They don't even have the votes, even if they had it in committee. They don't have the votes on the floor. They know that. They got members resigning rather than taking a vote on the fake faux impeachment. Just ask Ken Buck, who said the speaker ain't going to get me to take an unconstitutional impeachment vote. I mean, boy. I mean, so look, I mean, if these hearings were a success, right, if what we've been doing for the last 15 months had convinced the American people that Joe Biden committed a high crime and misdemeanor, you can be damn sure they would have called the vote by now, right? But they want it to go on. They either want it to go on because they don't have the evidence.
Are you asking me a question?
No, I'm just looking at you.
Oh, okay.
But if you want to talk to me, we can talk.
Well, no, I think you haven't read recent data that shows American people are well aware of the Biden's corruption.
Perfect. So then ask the chairman why he hasn't called for impeachment, Tony. He's right here. Ask Comer. Hey, Comer, how come you haven't called for impeachment? I'll do it. Watch. Hi, I'm Tony. Hey, chairman, how come you haven't called for impeachment? When are we going to have the hearing? When is the vote going to happen? I mean, you believe it. He believes it. He says it every day on TV. I just don't know when we're going to have the vote. I mean, let's just go. We can save the taxpayers millions of dollars. So, I mean, look, I used all of my time to show that this vote is never going to happen because they have no evidence on Joe Biden. I yield back.
Gentlemen's time's expired. Chair now recognizes Mr. Burleson from Missouri for 5 minutes.
I yield back, Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. Schiff.
I thank the chairman and move to strike the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
23 days, that is apparently how long it takes for my Republican colleagues to move on from the tragedy of the shooting in Nashville, during which 3 9-year-old children and 3 adults were slaughtered in their school. We were supposed to hold this markup the very next day, but Republicans pulled it down at the last moment, likely knowing how callous it would seem if they decided to proceed with the markup as planned, or maybe thinking that we would forget what took place in Nashville, the country would forget, but we haven't forgotten. The parents and loved ones of those victims haven't forgotten. Evelyn Deekhouse and William Kinney and Haley Scruggs were children. We haven't forgotten them. Now, I've heard several arguments by my colleagues about essentially why we should make it easier to kill children, why we should refuse to take any step to make it more difficult to kill children in a mass shooting like we've seen time after time after time. And let me just see if I can articulate some of those arguments. One is, you don't understand guns. You don't understand guns. Well, I'll tell you this. We understand biology. We understand what a high-capacity round does to a child's body. We understand what multiple rounds of an assault weapon projectile can do to tear flesh from the bone. Isn't that enough understanding? What we don't understand is your blind allegiance to the NRA. What we don't understand is why even the majority of NRA members who support assault weapon bans, why you don't support them. It's not even about the members of the NRA, of course. It's, I guess, about their organizational support or who knows what. We don't understand that blind allegiance to the NRA. Another argument we hear from our colleagues on the other side of the aisle is because the law won't stop all gun violence, it's just not worth doing. If we can't save all lives, it's not worth saving a single life. Well, I suppose that logic works until that single life is your own, or maybe it's your child. But why is it so hard to step into the shoes of someone who's lost a loved one from gun violence? Don't you think we would feel differently if that had happened to one of our family? And finally, we hear the argument that nothing really works. No gun safety laws really work. Nothing works. We're powerless. And so we don't have to do anything. But of course, when you look at other countries that have enacted laws, they have made their people more safe. There's a reason why the United States is alone in the world with the magnitude of gun violence. There are, in fact, things we can do that provably make our country more safe and better protect the lives of our children. We just don't have the will. We just don't have the courage. And so we see gun tragedy after gun tragedy after gun tragedy. Our colleagues say these braces were created to help disabled veterans shoot more easily. That may have been the purpose behind the original brace, but those braces now are modified by manufacturers, transforming a pistol into more concealable and deadly assault weapon. They're used to evade even the most porous of background systems, but even that is not enough. I've introduced legislation to strip away the gun industry's immunity from liability, a immunity that no other industry enjoys. That immunity was extended not just to the industry, but to the NRA itself. But that's too much for my colleagues who think that, no, the gun industry alone ought to enjoy the ability to act negligently without repercussion. I am so sick of seeing these constant tragedies, of seeing these grieving parents. I'm so fed up with the lack of courage here. When one of you accepts the necessity of a ban on assault weapons immediately within days, as our former colleague from near Buffalo was forced to resign or forced to say he wouldn't run for re-election because that was the end of his chances. We could do better this. We have to do better this. I'm sick of doing nothing. I'm sick of thoughts and prayers, and the slaughter continues. We are not powerless to do something here. If we had a little courage, we could save lives. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Hunt, is recognized.
Looks like the last word.
Gentleman is recognized.
As a father of 3 young children, I'm deeply wounded by the horrific tragedy that we saw in Nashville. We saw the lives of 6 people taken, 3 young children. The shooting was reported to police at 10:13 a.m., and the suspect was shot by 2 Nashville police officers at 10:27 a.m. This quick response time saved countless lives is a testament to law enforcement, and we thank them every single day. As a congressman, I want to do everything in my power to protect children all around this country from experiencing something like that again. Unlike my colleagues on the left, I'm different, and I think an actual solution to protect our children is not what's being proposed by the left, nor is it political. It is a clear attempt to erode the Second Amendment rights for law-abiding citizens and AR-15 owners like myself. Every time I walk around this Capitol, I feel extremely safe. I've deployed multiple times. I've been on multiple bases. I think to myself, oh my goodness, hot damn. I don't have to really worry about anything because I'm surrounded by people with guns that want to keep me safe. We have barricades, multiple checkpoints, metal detectors. We are staffed by 2 or 4 police officers at all times. All day there was a gentleman standing at this door in case somebody entered this room with a gun. The U.S. Capitol Police is comprised of more than 2,000 officers and over 350 civilian employees who provide operational and administrative support that has an annual budget of approximately $460 million. And for some of my colleagues, that's still not enough because they have their own private security on top of that, surrounded by people that carry guns. And I can assure you that the people here on the Hill are well protected. What about our school children? This is not a round. This is a pen. Now, one of my staffers tried to bring this pen to my office, and he was stopped by a metal detector, and it went through the x-ray machine, and he was almost tackled by our police services right here at the Capitol, doing their jobs, of course. And we proved that, of course, it was a pen. If a pen that looks like this can't get to my office, then how does a homicidal maniac that has weapons walk into a school and arbitrarily murder innocent children? Because we wear this pen, that does not make us more important than our children. There's a private school in Houston, Texas, and I was there a few months ago, and I was giving a young man his appointment to West Point. I drove on the campus, and I was met by 2 armed guards. There were parking places that were just for visitors, and they had even more armed guards beyond that. I felt very secure as I drove onto this school. The headmaster or head of school, she met me in the front, and I said, "My God, ma'am, I feel very secure in this place. What's the secret here?" She said, "Wesley, actually, given my religious beliefs, I hate guns. I don't do guns. but it's my responsibility to keep these young people safe. It's not about how I feel about guns or what I think about them or what I do or don't know. I must keep these children safe because they are the most precious things that we have on this earth. I keep hearing this word AR-15s and a weapon of war. I find that funny because, well, I've been to war. And you should Google the AX-64 Delta Apache helicopter. That is what I would call a true weapon of war. But I feel people calling these things a weapon of war, but they've never been to war, and they don't know what war is. And they're using the AR-15 as a scapegoat for everything. I say that because according to the ATF, 6% of homicides were at the hands of AR-15s, 60% at the hands of handguns. So if you really want to have an intellectually honest conversation about homicide reduction, you would go after pistols. But you don't do that because you want to go after the AR-15 first to then eventually get to the pistol to disarm Americans to infringe on our Second Amendment rights. I want you to know something. It ain't the gun. It's the homicidal maniac. The deadliest days in this country, 9/11, not a single shot was fired. Timothy McVeigh, fertilizer, Oklahoma City. The Boston Marathon, pressure cookers, not a single shot was fired. I know what war looks like, but what I do want to say is we have got to agree we can all protect our children, and we should not be protected more than them. And I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. Gentleman yields back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How are you doing today?
Great.
That's
Thank
good.
you.
You know, my Republican colleagues are so concerned about budgets. You know, meanwhile, they can't keep the government open without Democrats, right? You know, they're so concerned about all of these things, but look what they've done the last, 11 months in power, just utter and complete chaos. And the one thing they want to talk to you about today is this FBI building. Well, I wonder who has texted them and emailed them to talk about the FBI building. And the whole thing, that's it, you're here, about this FBI building. I mean, could that be that Donald Trump is telling them to talk about this FBI building because he's just so mad at the Department of Justice? I mean, it's so transparent. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, we have a war in Afghanistan, a war in Israel. We can't get Israel foreign aid because the speaker decided to politicize it. But they want to talk about furniture. Oh, that is definitely on the American people's mind, right? Right there with gas stoves and ceiling fans, other hearings we've had in this committee. The chairman mentioned something. Actually, he said that the Biden administration can't have it both ways. And I agree with that, Mr. Chairman, which is why I'm happy to yield you some of my time today, Mr. Chairman, because I think you owe it to the American people to explain why you've gone on Fox News and told people that while the president was out of office, he had a loan with his brother, and in a way they were evading taxes. It has come out in the public that you also do business with your brother with potential loans. And so since you have framed that and manipulated that with the American people, that Joe Biden did something wrong when he wasn't in office, I just would like to know if you would like to use some of my time.
I would love it.
Okay.
You retweeted that story. Completely false. I've never loaned my brother one penny. My father, who was a dentist, had some farmland. He died, and my brother couldn't afford. He wanted to sell it, but he wanted to keep it in the family, so I bought it from my brother. That story that you tweeted also said I had a shell company. That is bullshit. You can come to Monroe County and look at all the land that is titled in that LLC. I think that the problem is, the White House tried to get CNN to write that story. They went around and investigated all this bullshit that Ian Sams is trying to tell people that only dumb, financially illiterate people pick up on, and said that it was a shell company because it was an LLC. You're so financially illiterate that you think because something says LLC, it's a shell company. This company, which I financially disclose, has properties, okay? It manages over 1,000 acres of land for hunting purposes. It owns different properties. I'm one of the largest landowners in my home area. Okay? I went to the bank and I borrowed money and I bought that land. I didn't get wires from Romania, China. My family doesn't get wires. Okay? Never loaned my brother money. Don't have an LLC. But you and Goldman, who is Mr. Trust Fund, continue to try to
reclaiming my time.
No, I'm not going to give you your time back. We can stop the clock. You all continue to, you look like a Smurf here just going around and all this stuff. Now listen.
Mr. Chairman, you have,
I'm going to tell you
no,
something.
Hold on. If we're not on time, we can
disinformation.
You have gone on TV and said the president did something illegal. You're doing stuff with your brother. The American people have the same questions. Why should they believe you? Why should they believe you? Why should they believe you? There's a different rule for the president. There's a different rule for you. Why should they believe what you're saying, Mr. Chairman? Why? You go on Fox News and say loans and deals are a way to evade taxes. We don't know that's what you're doing or not. We don't know. We have no idea. We're supposed to take your word for it. But when the president says something,
you've already been proven a liar, Mr. Moskowitz.
What's that?
You've already been proven a liar.
Who's proven me a liar? You?
Yes.
Your word means nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Go to my hometown. There's a camera crew there today, an opposition research crew there today.
Mr. Chairman, this seems to have gotten under your skin.
I'll pay for your ticket.
I think the American people have lots of questions, Mr. Chairman, and perhaps you should sit maybe for a deposition.
I will be happy. I will sit with Hunter Biden and Jim Biden, and we can go over our LLC.
That'll be great. I'll make sure the ranking member is happy that you'll sit at a table.
Mr. Chairman, I make a point of order that we should return to regular order for the benefit of the other members.
The ranking member makes a good point.
I'll reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman. I'll wrap it up quickly. All I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, is you may have done nothing wrong. No,
but you tweeted that I did.
I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. There's a story out there, right? Because we believe everything in the media, like when you go on Fox News and say things and everyone says that they're true with innuendos and ifs and maybe, the Biden family, the crime family, all this nonsense. But when it happens to you, it's fake news. And what I'm saying is there should be the same. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. There should be the same standard. You said at the beginning of this hearing, the Biden administration can't have it both ways. Neither can you, Mr. Chairman. I yield my time back. Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Tlaib.